We exist in a society that's completely fixated on action, on constantly doing things, on making every single thing happen through sheer force and willpower alone. But what if I told you that literally everything you've ever been taught about the process of manifestation has been completely and utterly backwards this entire time? What if the very act of desperately chasing after your deepest desires with urgency and force is actually the precise reason why they continue to remain frustratingly out of your reach, no matter how hard you try or how much effort you pour into making things happen? In the fascinating realm of what we call quantum manifestation, this hustle mentality doesn't just fail to produce results. It actually actively repels and pushes away the very things you're trying so desperately to attract into your life. Quantum reality operates on principles that aren't linear or sequential like we've been conditioned to believe throughout our lives from childhood onwards. It doesn't respond favorably to urgency, pressure, or desperation of any kind whatsoever. Instead, it responds powerfully and precisely to something called coherence, which is a state of harmonious alignment between your inner and outer worlds, between who you are and what you desire. And this coherence begins its magical work the exact moment when your internal state genuinely reflects and matches the reality that you say you want to experience in your physical world. Most people unconsciously try to attract abundance and prosperity into their lives while simultaneously vibrating at the energetic frequency of lack, scarcity, and limitation throughout their entire day. They sit down and visualize romantic love and partnership while their entire being radiates the profound loneliness and emptiness they're trying to escape from deep within their souls. They passionately affirm freedom and possibility while their body language, thoughts, and emotions embody deep fear and restriction at every turn. That fundamental contradiction between what you say you want and who you're actually being, that's precisely what the quantum field responds to and mirrors back to you, not the carefully chosen words you repeat like mantras, not the beautiful vision board hanging on your wall filled with images of your dreams, not even the elaborate rituals you perform with dedication and consistency every single morning. Here's the mind-bending twist that absolutely nobody in the manifestation community talks about openly and honestly. Manifestation doesn't happen in your reality simply because you ask the universe politely or desperately for something you desire with all your heart. It happens because you actually became the energetic match, the vibrational equivalent, the living embodiment of what you're calling in from the quantum field of infinite possibilities. In quantum terms, the field, which is essentially a vast infinite matrix of pure potential containing every possible reality that could ever exist, is not moved, impressed, or influenced by sheer effort, hard work, or how much you struggle and exhaust yourself. It responds exclusively and precisely to resonance, to the frequency you're broadcasting moment by moment through your state of being, through the electromagnetic signature you emit just by existing in your current state. That means your real job in this manifestation process is not to push harder, force outcomes, or exhaust yourself with endless action and doing and hustling until you burn out completely. It's to attune yourself carefully to the right frequency, to stop the frantic chasing altogether, and start consciously becoming the version of yourself who already has what you desire living naturally in their reality. This is exactly where the vast majority of people get completely stuck and frustrated in their manifestation journey, spinning their wheels endlessly without making real progress. They hear popular phrases thrown around casually like, feel as if it's already done, or be in the vibration of having it now, but it feels completely fake, forced, inauthentic, and impossibly out of reach for them in their current circumstances. That's because they haven't yet understood the beautiful paradox at the heart of quantum manifestation. The state of allowing, of surrender, of non-resistance. That's actually the precise state that attracts and magnetizes your desires to you effortlessly without any struggle. The observer effect in quantum mechanics clearly demonstrates and shows that observation fundamentally alters the outcome of any quantum experiment in measurable, repeatable ways. But here's the crucial detail that changes everything. This only works when that observation is infused with genuine expectancy, trust, and knowing without a shadow of doubt, not with desperation, fear, or urgent need coming from a place of lack. When you observe your reality through the clear lens of trust, faith, and deep knowing without doubt clouding your vision. The quantum wave of probability collapses beautifully into solid, tangible form and manifests in your physical experience right before your eyes. But when you observe through the distorted lens of fear, anxiety, and urgent desperation born from feeling like you don't have enough time, the wave remains stubbornly uncollapsed. It stays as just abstract possibility floating in the quantum field like a dream that never quite becomes real, never quite becoming your lived reality no matter how long you wait. Let's pause right here for a moment and really absorb this fundamental truth, because this isn't about blaming you or making you feel guilty or wrong about where you are right now. This is about genuinely waking up to understand how your energy, your vibration, your state of being communicates and interacts with the intelligent universe around you every single moment of every single day. Imagine for a second that you're carefully tuning a radio receiver to pick up your favorite station that plays all the songs you love. If you're genuinely trying to listen clearly to 98.7 FM while your actual dial is set to a completely different frequency like 88.1, it genuinely doesn't matter how intensely you want the music to come through, how desperately you need to hear it, or how long you sit there hoping and wishing it would just work. You'll never ever hear it clearly unless you physically tune yourself to the correct frequency first. That's just how radio waves and frequencies work in the physical world. That's exactly what quantum manifestation truly is in its essence. It's not about asking the universe to deliver packages to your doorstep like some cosmic Amazon service responding to your orders. It's about consciously attuning yourself to the precise frequency where that desired version of your life already exists, complete and whole and fully formed, waiting patiently for you to match it energetically. This is the sacred space where ancient spiritual wisdom and cutting-edge modern science beautifully converge and validate each other perfectly in ways that would have seemed impossible just decades ago. Neville Goddard, the legendary mystic teacher who influenced countless lives, spoke often and powerfully about what he called living from the end, fully embodying the emotional signature, the feeling tone, the vibrational essence of your desired outcome as if it's already accomplished and complete in your life. Now, in our modern era, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks extensively about how the brain and heart must enter a state of coherence together, working in harmony, signaling to the quantum field a unified, consistent message of conscious creation without internal conflict or contradiction splitting your energy. Abraham Hicks calls this getting into what they describe as the vortex, that sweet emotional spot where all resistance completely melts away like ice in the sun and pure receiving naturally begins to flow into your life, effortlessly. Here's the real problem that keeps most people trapped in struggle and frustration year after year. Simplicity genuinely scares and threatens the ego's need for complexity and drama and making things harder than they need to be. We've been systematically trained and conditioned to believe deeply that value only comes through tremendous effort and hard work and sacrifice. We've been taught from childhood that real transformation requires pain, suffering, and giving up things we love. We've been convinced by society that genuine progress demands relentless hustle, constant action, and never resting or taking time to just be. But in the quantum world, the fundamental truth is actually the complete opposite of everything we've been taught our entire lives. The more desperately you chase something with urgency and need, the more powerfully you affirm and reinforce its absence in your current reality through your very pursuit of it. The more forcefully you try to make something happen through sheer willpower and determination alone, the more significantly you amplify resistance and create obstacles that block your path. That's precisely why this video carries the title Quantum Manifestation is Simple. That's why nobody gets it, because genuine simplicity isn't sexy or marketable in our complex world that values complexity. It's not dramatic enough for social media posts and viral content, not complicated enough to sell expensive courses about or charge thousands of dollars for. But it absolutely is where the real shift begins to happen in your life when you finally stop fighting against the current. Before we move forward deeper into this quantum journey together, I genuinely want to invite you into something real and transformative happening here in this space. If you've been feeling like something's finally making sense in a way it never has before, and if a part of you is truly realizing and recognizing your own innate power for the very first time in your life, Tap that like button right now if you just had an authentic aha moment that shifted something inside you. Because like genuinely attracts like in this quantum field we're discussing, and I invite you to subscribe and stay connected with this space we're building together. Grow with us, evolve with us, expand with us, because we're building something special here, a community of conscious creators who understand these quantum principles and are ready to apply them. In the upcoming sections of this deep dive exploration, we'll explore much deeper together into the mechanics of how all this actually works. We'll investigate how to completely rewire your vibrational signature from the ground up, changing the very foundation of who you are. We'll examine how the quantum field acts like a perfect mirror, reflecting your internal state back to you constantly without judgment or bias. And we'll discover how to finally live authentically as the version of you who doesn't desperately chase anything but naturally attracts everything you desire. But first, sit with this profound truth and let it sink deeply into your consciousness like water soaking into soil. The version of your life you desire most passionately already exists in the quantum field right now in this very moment. In quantum theory, which has been proven repeatedly through rigorous scientific experimentation by physicists around the world, all possible outcomes already coexist simultaneously in superposition, meaning everything that could happen is already happening somewhere. Your only real job in this manifestation process is to collapse consciously into that desired reality, not by force, pressure, or struggle, but purely by matching its frequency and vibration through your state of being. So pause the exhausting chase right now in this very moment and take a deep breath. Stop running after what you think you lack or don't have yet, and instead start consciously becoming the person who already has it. Not tomorrow when conditions are perfect, not when the money magically appears in your bank account, not when the ideal partner finally arrives at your door unexpectedly. Right now, in this present moment, that's precisely when the quantum field begins to respond powerfully to your shifted frequency and new energetic signature. If your external reality functions as a reflection of your internal state moment by moment, then what exactly is it reflecting back to you every single day when you wake up and look at your life? Most people approach the entire manifestation process with a rigid to-do list clutched tightly in their hands like it's a lifeline. Visualize daily without fail at the same time. Repeat affirmations mechanically word for word. Write down your desires 10 times every morning in a specific journal. And while these practices certainly can be helpful tools when used correctly with proper understanding, they so often become mechanical, surface-level attempts to change what appears in the mirror without ever changing the actual face that it reflects back to you. The profound truth that changes everything once you really get it is this: the quantum field doesn't respond to what you say with your mouth or write in your journal with beautiful handwriting. It responds exclusively to who you are being, to the vibration you're emitting through your entire state of being every moment you exist. And being is absolutely not performance or pretending or putting on a show for others or even yourself. It's not pretending to feel abundant and wealthy while you're secretly panicking about how to pay rent next month or afford groceries. It's not saying, "I trust the universe completely with all my heart," with your words while you're secretly obsessing over timelines and wondering anxiously when things will finally happen and if they'll ever actually come. Being is genuine alignment, a vibrational congruence and harmony between your inner world of thoughts and feelings and the version of reality you want to experience in your outer world manifested physically. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains this phenomenon like this with remarkable clarity. Your thoughts are fundamentally electric in nature, carrying electrical charges through your neural networks. And your emotions are fundamentally magnetic in nature, creating magnetic fields around your heart. Together, when combined in the same moment, they create a powerful electromagnetic signature that constantly broadcasts your state of being into the quantum field like a radio tower sending out signals 24 hours a day. That field, which holds every single potential reality imaginable and unimaginable, begins to reorganize itself based specifically on the signal you're sending out continuously, not what you consciously want with your logical mind, but what you actually are being vibrationally through your emotional state. Let's break that concept down with a practical example so it becomes crystal clear and you can see how this plays out in real life. Suppose you desire a life of complete financial freedom and abundance flowing easily to you from multiple sources. If you're constantly feeling anxious about money throughout your day, obsessively checking your bank account balance multiple times per day, hoping the numbers changed, and vividly imagining worst case scenarios of poverty and loss and not having enough, your electromagnetic signature is purely one of scarcity, lack, and limitation, vibrating at a very specific frequency. And scarcity as a vibration doesn't attract wealth to you. It magnetizes and creates more experiences of scarcity because that's the signal you're broadcasting. The field is not judging you as good or bad, right or wrong. It's just neutrally reflecting your broadcast back to you like a mirror shows you exactly what you look like without adding or subtracting anything. In the comments right now, drop one word that captures the energy you're choosing to carry forward from this moment on into your future. Maybe it's alignment, maybe it's ease, maybe it's power, maybe it's abundance, or maybe it's something uniquely yours that speaks to your soul in a special way. Let that single word be a small but profound declaration. A signal like a quantum seed you plant not just in this comment space, but in the quantum field itself, where it can grow and multiply. Now here's the mind-bending twist that changes the entire game completely. The most powerful and effective way to change your signal isn't to chase desperately after a new future you don't have yet somewhere out there. It's to embody that future now in this present moment, to feel it viscerally now in your body, to practice the frequency of your desired reality consistently until it feels completely natural to you, like putting on your favorite comfortable clothes. Not as a lie you're telling yourself to feel better temporarily, but as a deep remembrance of who you truly are beneath all the conditioning and programming. Because somewhere in the infinite multiverse of quantum possibilities that exists beyond our normal perception, that version of you already exists completely formed and living that life naturally. And when you align with that version emotionally and mentally, matching their frequency precisely, you begin to collapse that probability into your physical reality through the observer effect. This is absolutely not wishful thinking or delusional fantasy or pretending things are different than they are. The science of neuroplasticity shows us clearly that the brain literally rewires itself, creating new neural pathways and connections through consistent mental rehearsal and visualization practiced regularly. When you vividly imagine a future event in detail with sensory richness and authentically bring up the corresponding emotion of it, gratitude, joy, peace, excitement, relief, your brain begins to create the actual neural circuits as if that event were already happening in real time right now. Do that consistently long enough with emotional intensity and genuine feeling, and your body becomes familiar with the future before it physically arrives in your external reality. And when the body believes something is real at a cellular level, the quantum field responds accordingly and begins rearranging circumstances to match. Neville Goddard taught this exact principle decades ago when he said clearly and powerfully, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." He wasn't suggesting that you fake it until you make it or pretend unconvincingly that everything's perfect when it's not. He meant fuse with it completely on every level, merge with it until there's no separation. Let it be so familiar and natural that your nervous system calibrates entirely to it and stops sending stress signals. Because here's what most people don't understand at all about how this works. Manifestation is not about asking the universe for a favor or begging for help from something outside yourself. It's about meeting and merging with the version of yourself who already lives that reality naturally without effort and bringing that version fully into the present now, not by effort or force or trying really hard, but by pure resonance and alignment, like tuning forks vibrating at the same frequency. And when that resonance becomes consistent rather than sporadic or occasional, when you can hold it for longer and longer periods, the field mirrors it back to you as lived experience in ways that seem magical. There's a profound shift that happens when you stop waiting around for signs from the universe to tell you you're on the right path and start becoming the sign yourself through your choices and energy. When you stop watching for synchronicities like a hawk and start living in sync with your desires naturally, that's when reality bends in impossible ways that defy logic. That's when time seems to collapse strangely and things happen faster than they should. That's when things magically align, not because of luck or coincidence or random chance, but because of coherence between your inner and outer worlds. In quantum mechanics, the act of observation collapses the wave function, turning a potential possibility floating in superposition into actual reality manifested physically. But not all observation is equal or carries the same power to collapse waves. Observation charged with trust, faith, and emotional clarity has dramatically more collapsing power than observation tainted by fear, doubt, and anxiety coming from uncertainty. So ask yourself honestly right now, what version of reality are you consistently observing within your own consciousness throughout your day? What are you giving your attention and emotional energy to? When people say act as if, it's not about faking confidence or pretending to be someone you're not inauthentically for the benefit of others. It's about stepping into the emotional posture of someone who already knows with certainty deep in their bones, someone who's not waiting for proof or evidence from the external world, someone who embodies the evidence before it arrives in the physical through their state of being. This is the beginning of mastering your frequency. And when you truly do this consistently day after day, you don't just attract reality to you, you become the gravity that pulls it in effortlessly like a planet pulling moons into orbit. Now that we understand clearly that the quantum field doesn't give you what you want with your conscious mind, it gives you what you are through your vibration. The next crucial step is to ask, how exactly do you collapse the possibility into tangible form that you can see and touch and experience? Quantum physics reveals something extraordinary that seems almost too good to be true. All potential realities exist simultaneously in a state of superposition right now. Your dream job, your ideal relationship, your financial breakthrough, they are not distant hopes floating somewhere in the future that may or may not happen someday. They are present potentials waiting patiently to be chosen and collapsed into form through your focused attention and emotion. But they don't become real simply because you think about them occasionally or want them badly with all your heart. They become real when your observation, your focused awareness combined with emotion, causes the wave to collapse from possibility to actuality in the physical dimension. But not just any casual observation will do this effectively. This isn't a passive glance or wishful thinking or hoping things work out. The quantum field responds specifically to emotionally charged focus, to observation laced with belief, trust, embodiment, and energetic alignment all working together. When you feel your future as if it's already real and present right now, when you generate the emotions of having it now in this moment, you begin to imprint that version powerfully into the unified field like stamping a seal into wax. You don't chase it desperately running after it, you stabilize it through your consistent frequency held over time. And in doing so, the universe responds and reorganizes circumstances, people, and events around you. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that this entire process requires what's called coherence, a synchronization between the brain and the heart working together harmoniously like an orchestra playing in perfect harmony. Most people live in complete mental chaos and emotional incoherence throughout their days from morning to night. Their thoughts want one thing desperately, but their emotions communicate lack and fear constantly underneath everything they do. Their actions are scattered and inconsistent, motivated by doubt or fear rather than certainty and trust. And in that state of incoherence, where everything is pulling in different directions, the field simply can't find a clear frequency to reflect back because the signal is too mixed and contradictory. When your brain and heart enter genuine coherence together, synchronized perfectly, your signal becomes dramatically stronger and clearer to the field. You're no longer sending mixed messages that cancel each other out. You're broadcasting a unified frequency of trust, gratitude, and certainty, the unmistakable signature of someone who already is what they once hoped to become. Let's look at this from the fascinating perspective of neurobiology for a moment to understand the physical mechanics. When you feel an emotion authentically in your body releases specific chemicals that correspond to that feeling state precisely. Gratitude produces dopamine and oxytocin flowing through your system. Trust produces serotonin calming your nervous system. These chemicals don't just make you feel good temporarily for a few minutes. They fundamentally shift your entire physiological state at a cellular level, and your state becomes your point of attraction broadcasting into the field. If you can generate these elevated emotions without needing external confirmation or evidence first from your circumstances, you reclaim your creative power completely and stop being a victim. You're no longer just reacting to life as it happens to you. You're informing it, programming it, directing it from within. And this is precisely how reality begins to shift around you in ways that seem impossible. Neville Goddard used to say that your assumptions harden into facts over time through repetition and feeling. What he meant was this: your consistent emotional assumptions create a gravitational pull that restructures your world piece by piece. The outer becomes a perfect mirror of the inner without exception. And this is not just philosophy or mysticism or wishful spiritual thinking. It's physics backed by what we now know about the observer effect, quantum entanglement, and coherence from actual laboratory experiments. If this blew up your mind and made you see things differently, hit subscribe and the bell icon next to it right now. Join this movement, become part of a global space where we explore the art of conscious creation, quantum alignment, and embodied manifestation together as a community. The observer effect teaches us that what you focus on expands and grows in your experience, and more than that, it transforms based on how you observe it. You're not just passively watching a future unfold randomly like a movie, you're actively shaping it moment by moment with every thought, emotion, and choice you make throughout your day. So, how do you maintain the state consistently? How do you live as if your desired reality is already here and present even when circumstances say otherwise? This is where most people falter completely and give up. They touch the frequency briefly during meditation or journaling for 10 minutes, but then they go back to worrying, doubting, scrolling mindlessly, and reinforcing their current identity throughout the rest of their day. That's like planting a seed in soil and then digging it up every day to check if it's growing yet. Manifestation requires energetic consistency over time. That doesn't mean perfection or never having a negative thought. It means returning again and again to the version of you who already has it despite distractions. Not just in thought floating in your head, but in feeling anchored in your body. Not just in words you speak, but in behavior and choices you make, even in subtle ways throughout your day. Walk as if you already have it. Breathe as if you already have it. Make decisions as if you already have it. Because every small alignment compounds over time like interest in a bank account. Every moment you choose coherence over fear, presence over distraction, trust over doubt, you're reinforcing the quantum imprint of your new reality deeper and deeper into the field. Here's where it gets genuinely exciting and things start to accelerate. Once you stabilize that vibration consistently for days or weeks, reality begins to respond with what many call synchronicity showing up everywhere. Unexpected opportunities appear out of nowhere. Intuitive nudges guide you to the right place at the right time. Sudden clarity arrives about what to do next. People show up at the perfect time with exactly what you need. And it's not magic or luck or wishful thinking. It's the field reorganizing itself around your signal like iron filings around a magnet. You'll know you're close to collapse when you begin to feel it in your bones deep within you. Not as excitement or impatience wanting it now, but as certainty and calm knowing. A quiet knowing that doesn't need to shout. A deep sense of inevitability like watching the sun rise. That's when you stop asking where is it anxiously and start feeling it's already mine with peace. At this point in the journey, you've moved from wishful thinking to energetic authorship where you write reality. You've crossed the bridge between possibility and embodiment completely. And from here, something begins to shift not only in your outer world, but in your perception of it fundamentally. You stop needing validation from others because your frequency is its own evidence of truth. You've collapsed the wave, and the life you once visualized in your mind, it's now visualizing you back and pulling you forward. Once you begin to live from the end, not toward it in the future, everything starts to change fundamentally in ways you can't predict. But let's be completely honest, this is where most people get stuck and frustrated. Not because they don't believe in manifestation, but because they don't know how to become what they desire at an identity level. They try to think their way into a new life without feeling it in their body. They hope for change while embodying the same patterns day after day. And the field doesn't respond to hope or wishes. It responds to energetic certainty and embodiment. Quantum manifestation is not about thinking positively until something magically appears like a genie granting wishes. It's about becoming a match to the timeline you're trying to access that already exists. That timeline, that version of you, already exists somewhere in the multiverse. You're not building it from scratch piece by piece. You're selecting it by aligning your energy to the frequency it broadcasts constantly. How do you know you're aligning with it? You stop obsessing over the how and when and where. You stop chasing validation, signs, or guarantees from the universe. You become less reactive to the outer world and what people say and more attuned to your inner calibration and guidance. Abraham Hicks often says something powerful. You can't get there from there, meaning you cannot manifest the version of you who is free, at peace, and fulfilled from a place of urgency, frustration, or lack right now. You have to start acting, choosing, and especially feeling as if you're already there, living that life now. That's when something mysterious begins to happen that defies explanation. You start attracting different thoughts, not the ones you try to think or force, but the ones that belong to that version of you naturally. Your intuition sharpens dramatically, and you know things without knowing how. You sense new paths opening before you've seen them. The synchronicities become bolder and more frequent and undeniable. Reality becomes more fluid and less solid. Time bends in strange ways and things happen faster. It's as if life is accelerating to meet you where you are. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that when you enter a high-frequency emotional state, gratitude, love, awe, joy, your brain and heart enter gamma coherence together. In this state, your nervous system becomes more receptive to new patterns of thinking and being. Your field becomes magnetic, attracting what matches it. And manifestation becomes natural, not because you're forcing it through willpower, but because you've become the portal through which that reality flows into this dimension. And this is why we say, stop chasing, start attracting. It's not about effort and struggle. It's about calibration and tuning. If you've ever had a moment where things just clicked perfectly, where everything aligned without effort, where an opportunity showed up just when you need, in the comments, drop one thing that you deeply desire to manifest right now. Maybe it's money flowing to you easily. Maybe it's a happy relationship filled with love. Maybe it's a healthy and fit body you feel amazing in. Maybe it's something uniquely yours that only you know about. Let this be a small but profound declaration, a signal to the universe you send not just in this space, but in the quantum field where it can take root and grow. And now let's speak directly to your subconscious mind beneath your conscious awareness, because there's a reason this message is reaching you right now at this exact moment. You've likely felt that your manifestations take too long and you get impatient. That maybe something's blocking them that you can't see, that perhaps you're doing it wrong somehow. But here's the truth. You've always been closer than you think to what you want. The very fact that you're hearing this now is proof that your field is ready to shift into something new. You're not broken or damaged. You're not behind or late. You don't need to chase anything anymore. You need to stabilize the version of you who no longer chases. The one who knows with certainty. The one who walks with quiet certainty and grounded magnetism that draws everything to them. That version of you already exists fully formed. And every moment you choose to remember that truth, you collapse the distance between now and your desire exponentially. So let this be the moment you stop trying so hard and start remembering who you really are. Let this be the moment you embody the version of you who lives as if it's already done and complete. Let this be the quantum event where you shift from waiting to becoming right now. If there's one thing the quantum field keeps whispering to those who are willing to listen carefully, it's this profound truth. There is nothing to wait for outside yourself. Every version of your life, every timeline, every possibility, every potential reality already exists fully formed. It is not something you create through force or hard work. It is something you tune into through alignment, like changing a radio station, and the shift doesn't require years of effort or complex techniques or expensive programs. It begins the moment you stop searching for signs outside and start embodying the signal inside your own being. Think about this carefully and let it sink in. The reality where your manifestations are already real is not somewhere far away in time or space. It's vibrationally adjacent right next to you energetically. You don't need to leap into it across a huge gap. You simply need to stop resonating with the one you want to leave behind through your thoughts and emotions. This is what Neville Goddard meant when he said powerfully, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It's not a game of wishful thinking or pretending. It's the science and sacredness of self-selection, choosing your reality. You're not asking life to become something for you. You're telling life clearly, this is who I am now. And the field, being fully obedient to coherence without question, responds accordingly to your claim. But there's a catch you need to understand. You can't fake it at the level of vibration. You can't pretend to feel abundance while anchoring yourself in doubt underneath. You can't chant affirmations from a place of fear in your body. You can't meditate your way into a new life while mentally clinging to the old one with your identity. The quantum field isn't fooled by surface rituals or words alone. It listens only to the vibration beneath your thoughts in your heart. And that's exactly where your power lives, waiting to be claimed. So how do you live from this power consistently? You practice coherence daily. You choose again and again to return to alignment, not once when you feel like it, not when it's convenient, but as a devotion, a lifestyle, a way of being that defines you. You speak differently to yourself and others. You walk differently with confidence. You treat others and yourself as if you are already that person living that life. And soon you won't be acting anymore or pretending. You'll be living it naturally. This is the quantum code behind manifestation that few talk about openly. Not because it's hidden or secret, but because it's simple, and simplicity doesn't sell. Too simple for a mind addicted to complexity and problems. Too soft for a world addicted to struggle and hustle. But that simplicity is your secret key to everything. The more you release the need to make it happen through force, the more reality begins to shape itself around you like clay. Let yourself trust this process completely. Let yourself stop waiting for evidence and become the evidence yourself. And remember, the most powerful manifestations don't announce themselves with fireworks or fanfare. They arrive in ordinary moments, felt deeply in your body through sensation. A shift in breath you notice, a sudden peace washing over you, a knowing you can't explain. The universe speaks quietly when it delivers what you've already claimed as yours. So now I ask you directly, what if the change you've been waiting for is waiting for you to finally stop waiting and start being? What if your next timeline is watching you right now, waiting for the signal that says clearly, I'm ready. Let's collapse the distance between us now. Make sure you share this video with your friends and family who need to hear this message. You might be a blessing in disguise for them today. For you, it may be just sharing a video, but for someone in need, it may mean a life-changing shift, and their gratitude will increase positivity and come back to you multiplied. This is not just information to collect. This is activation happening in real time. Every word you've read, every concept you've absorbed, has been preparing your field for what comes next in your journey. Because manifestation isn't a skill you develop from scratch. It's a memory you unlock that was always there. You've always known how to do this at a soul level. You've just forgotten under layers of conditioning, and now you're remembering your true nature. The quantum field doesn't operate on a linear timeline of past, present, future. It operates on resonance and frequency alone. And the moment your resonance matches the reality you desire perfectly, the collapse begins immediately, not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Now in this moment, you are not becoming powerful in the future. You already are powerful now. You are not learning how to manifest from scratch. You're remembering how reality responds to you when you align. And the moment you stop chasing and start aligning completely, that's when manifestation becomes effortless and natural. And that's when it gets magical beyond belief. If this video activated something in you, if you felt even 1% more aligned after this, subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. Let's grow together in this field. If this hits 1000 likes, I'll drop another part with secrets from ancient texts that will blow you away and change how you see reality. This channel is a sanctuary for those who know the universe is listening always, for those who are ready to become what they've been calling in for so long. You are not alone in this journey of awakening. We are a field, a wave, a movement of conscious creators, and your coherence strengthens the whole collective. Your next level isn't coming someday, it's here waiting. It's been waiting patiently, and now you know how to claim it finally. Let me share something that will shift your entire understanding of how manifestation works at the deepest level. The quantum field isn't just responding to you, it's organizing itself around the story you're telling through your emotions, choices, and identity every single moment of every single day. And most people are telling the wrong story without even realizing it because they're stuck in patterns programmed into them since childhood. They're telling the story of I'm trying to manifest when the field only recognizes I am statements vibrationally. They're telling the story of I hope this works when the field responds to I know this is done with absolute certainty. They're telling the story of maybe someday when the field collapses around it's already happening now as a lived reality. And here's what makes this so powerful. You don't need to convince anyone else. You don't need external validation from friends or family. You don't need proof before you believe it. You need to become so aligned with your desired reality that your body, your nervous system, your entire being vibrates at that frequency consistently without wavering. When you reach that state of complete alignment, something extraordinary happens in your field. The boundaries between you and your desire begin to dissolve completely. What you want stops feeling separate from you, stops feeling like it's out there somewhere in the future. It starts feeling like an extension of who you are already, like remembering something you forgot rather than acquiring something new. This is what the mystics meant when they talked about oneness and unity consciousness. This is what quantum physicists mean when you are not separate from what you desire, because separation is an illusion. Your desire exists because you exist, and you exist because your desire is calling you forward into a new version of yourself. Dr. Joe Dispenza conducted experiments where he measured the electromagnetic field of people's hearts before and after they entered coherent states of gratitude and elevated emotion. What he found was remarkable and validated everything ancient wisdom taught. The heart's electromagnetic field became measurably stronger, more coherent, and extended several feet beyond the physical body when people felt genuine gratitude for something that hadn't happened yet in physical reality. That field was communicating with the quantum field of infinite possibilities, sending a clear signal, a clear instruction, a clear vibration. And within that field, matching circumstances began to organize themselves to match that frequency perfectly. This isn't metaphor or wishful thinking. This is measurable, repeatable, scientifically validated reality that anyone can test for themselves. Your heart is not just a pump circulating blood through your body. It's an electromagnetic generator far more powerful than your brain, broadcasting your emotional state into the field constantly, shaping reality around you moment by moment. Now let's talk about resistance, because this is where most people sabotage themselves unknowingly. Resistance is not what you think it is. It's not external obstacles or bad luck or wrong timing. Resistance is the gap between who you're being and who you need to be to receive what you want effortlessly. It's the internal contradiction between I want this and I don't believe I can have this playing out simultaneously. It's the energetic static that scrambles your signal to the field so the field can't clearly respond to what you actually want. Think of it like trying to tune into a clear radio station while someone's running a blender next to the receiver. The signal is there, but it's obscured by noise and interference. Most people have so much mental and emotional noise, worry, doubt, fear, unworthiness, past failures, limiting beliefs, that their signal to the field is completely scrambled and contradictory. The field receives mixed messages and reflects back mixed results or no results at all. The way to eliminate resistance isn't to fight it or try to overcome it through willpower and positive thinking alone. The way to eliminate resistance is to become so absorbed in the feeling of your wish fulfilled that resistance simply has no space to exist in your awareness anymore. When you're genuinely grateful for what you're manifesting as if it's already here, doubt cannot coexist with that gratitude simultaneously. When you're genuinely excited about your new reality as if it's unfolding now, fear cannot coexist with that excitement in the same moment. This is why Neville Goddard emphasized the importance of living in the end so consistently and powerfully. He wasn't talking about pretending or visualizing for 5 minutes before bed and then worrying all day long. He was talking about a complete shift in identity, in how you see yourself, in how you move through the world every moment. He was talking about becoming the person who already has it so completely that there's no separation between the desire and the desirer anymore. They merge into one unified field. And when that happens, manifestation becomes inevitable, like gravity, not hopeful or possible. Let me give you a practical example of how this plays out in real life so you can see it clearly. Imagine someone who wants to manifest financial abundance and freedom. If they spend their day checking their bank account anxiously, complaining about bills, feeling stressed about money, avoiding looking at their finances out of fear, then returning to a 5-minute visualization practice where they try to feel abundant, what's their actual signal to the field throughout the entire day? The signal is overwhelmingly lack and fear with a tiny sprinkle of hope mixed in. That's what the field responds to and reflects back: more lack, more fear, more struggle with money. Now imagine that same person makes a different choice completely. They decide to live as the version of themselves who already has financial freedom right now today. They handle their current finances with calm confidence and gratitude for what they have. They make purchasing decisions from abundance, not scarcity, choosing quality, treating themselves well, tipping generously, even with limited resources. They speak about money with ease and positivity, not stress and complaint. They dress, walk, and carry themselves like someone who's financially free and secure. They feel genuinely grateful for money flowing to them in expected and unexpected ways throughout their day. They trust completely that their needs are always met and exceeded. What's their signal to the field now throughout the entire day? Abundance, trust, gratitude, security, and freedom consistently. And that's what the field reflects back to them: circumstances, opportunities, ideas, and resources that match that frequency perfectly. The shift isn't in their bank account first. The shift is in their being first, and then the bank account follows that shift naturally. This is the part most people get backwards completely. They think the external has to change before they can feel different, before they can be different. But quantum physics proves the exact opposite is true. You have to be different first, then the external changes to match what you've become vibrationally. The observer creates the observed reality, not the other way around. So, the question becomes, who are you being right now in this moment? Not who do you want to be someday in the future, not who you'll be when circumstances change and improve. Who are you being now, today, in this present moment? Because that's what's creating your tomorrow, your next week, your next year right now. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every choice you make is casting a vote for the reality you'll experience next. And here's the beautiful part that gives me chills every time I think about it. You can change your vote right now in an instant. You don't have to wait for anything external to give you permission or to change first. You can decide right now to be the version of you who already has what you desire, and the moment you make that decision with your whole being, the quantum field begins reorganizing reality around that new frequency immediately. Not tomorrow, not next week, immediately in ways you might not see yet but are happening nonetheless. Now, if you're a conscious creator who's ready to step into this power fully, hit like and subscribe right now. This is not just a channel, this is a community of conscious creators who understand these principles and are applying them daily. We're not just learning theory, we're living this, practicing this, embodying this together as a collective field. Let me take you deeper into something most manifestation teachers won't tell you because they don't fully understand it themselves or they're afraid it sounds too far out there. You're not creating a new reality from nothing. You're selecting a timeline that already exists in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Every possible version of your life already exists simultaneously right now in superposition. There's a timeline where you're financially free and abundant. There's a timeline where you're in your ideal relationship, experiencing deep love. There's a timeline where you're healthy, fit, energized, and thriving physically. There's a timeline where you're living your purpose fully and making the impact you dream of making. All of these timelines exist right now, not in the future, not as potential, as actual realities in different probability states, waiting to be collapsed into your experience. Your job is not to create these realities. Your job is to select which one you collapse into through your observation, attention, emotion, and state of being consistently. Think of it like standing in front of infinite doors, each one leading to a different version of your life fully formed and complete. The door you walk through isn't determined by chance or fate or luck. It's determined by your frequency, by the vibration you're holding most consistently throughout your day. If you're vibrating at the frequency of lack, struggle, and limitation most of the day, you keep walking through doors that lead to timelines of more lack, struggle, and limitation. If you shift your vibration to abundance, ease, and possibility consistently, you start walking through different doors that lead to timelines of abundance, ease, and possibility manifested. The timelines don't change. You change, and therefore which timeline you experience changes automatically. This is not just spiritual philosophy. This is quantum mechanics applied to your life practically. The many worlds interpretation of quantum physics, proposed by physicist Hugh Everett, suggests that all possible outcomes of quantum measurements actually exist in separate, non-communicating parallel universes or timelines. When you make a choice or observation, you don't create outcomes, you select which branch of reality, which timeline you consciously experience. Now, mainstream science hasn't fully accepted this interpretation yet, but many leading quantum physicists find it the most elegant explanation for quantum phenomena we observe in laboratories worldwide. And whether or not you believe the science completely, you can test this in your own life experientially right now. Think about a moment in your past where you made a different choice than you almost made. Maybe you took a job you almost didn't take, or you spoke to someone you almost didn't speak to, or you went somewhere you almost didn't go. Think about how different your life would be now if you'd made the opposite choice in that moment. That alternate version of your life still exists in another timeline, lived by another version of you who made that different choice. You're living in the timeline of the choice you did make, experiencing the reality that flowed from that choice and the vibration you held. Now, imagine consciously choosing your timeline every single day through your vibration, your state, your emotional frequency. That's what we're talking about here. Timeline selection through conscious frequency management and emotional mastery. And the most powerful tool for timeline selection isn't visualization alone, it's not affirmations alone, it's not action alone, it's emotional embodiment of the timeline you want to experience as if you're already living it fully now. When you feel the emotions of your desired timeline consistently, the gratitude, the joy, the peace, the excitement, the relief, you begin to vibrate at the frequency of that timeline specifically. And quantum entanglement ensures that as your frequency shifts, your experienced reality shifts to match it perfectly because they're not separate things. They're entangled, connected, unified. This is why people who practice deep gratitude for what they want before it manifests often experience rapid, dramatic shifts in their external circumstances that seem miraculous. They're not creating miracles. They're selecting timelines where those outcomes already exist, collapsing probability waves through the power of their emotional state and focused awareness. Let me share something practical you can do right now today to start consciously selecting your desired timeline more effectively. For the next 24 hours, make a commitment to yourself to live entirely from the timeline you want to experience, not the timeline you currently see around you physically. This means making every choice, every decision, every response from the version of you who already lives that desired reality fully. When you wake up, ask yourself, how would the version of me who already has my desire wake up, feel, move, think? Then do that, feel that, be that throughout your morning. When you interact with others, ask, how would the version of me living my desired timeline interact with this person, respond to this situation, carry myself in this moment? Then do that, be that, embody that in real time. When challenges arise, ask, how would the version of me who already has what I want handle this, feel about this, respond to this? Then respond from that place of already having it, not from lack or fear. Do this consistently for 24 hours and watch what happens in your field, in your thoughts, in your circumstances. You'll be amazed at the shifts that occur, at the synchronicities that appear, at the opportunities that open when you commit fully to living from your desired timeline instead of your current one. This isn't pretending or being inauthentic. This is timeline selection in action, choosing your reality consciously instead of unconsciously defaulting to old patterns and frequencies. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes until one day you realize you're not practicing anymore. You're simply living it naturally because you fully merged with that timeline completely. Comment down below one small act you're committing to today, something that anchors you into your new timeline, your desired reality. It could be as simple as breathe from abundance, or trust completely, or move with confidence. Your word matters, your act matters. Because you matter, and because every aligned action compounds over time. Now, we need to talk about what happens when you truly stabilize your frequency in your desired timeline consistently for days, weeks, or longer. Something shifts in the field around you that's palpable, that's noticeable, that's undeniable. You stop chasing opportunities, they start appearing in your path without you looking for them. You stop trying to force connections, the right people show up at exactly the right time. You stop pushing for outcomes, they unfold naturally with ease and perfect timing that surprises you. This is what I call the magnetic pull phase of manifestation. And it's where the real magic happens when you've done the inner work consistently. When you reach this phase, you'll know it because manifestation stops feeling like work and starts feeling like flow. Things that used to require enormous effort suddenly happen easily. Doors that were closed suddenly open without you knocking. Resources you needed suddenly appear without you seeking them desperately. This isn't luck or coincidence or wishful thinking. This is the natural result of sustained coherence between your inner state and your desired reality over time. The quantum field has reorganized itself around your frequency, and now reality is bending toward you instead of away from you. Let me explain the mechanics of why this happens so you understand it's not magical thinking. When you hold a consistent frequency of your desired reality for an extended period, several things happen simultaneously in your field and consciousness. First, your reticular activating system in your brain, which filters the millions of bits of information you're exposed to every second, begins to prioritize information that matches your new frequency and identity. You start noticing opportunities, resources, and connections that were always there but invisible to you before because your RAS wasn't filtering for them. Second, your electromagnetic field, which extends several feet beyond your physical body, begins to entrain and influence the fields of people and circumstances around you through resonance. People can feel your energy shift, even if they can't articulate it consciously, and they respond differently to you because you're broadcasting a different frequency entirely. Third, and this is where quantum physics becomes really fascinating, your coherent focused intention begins to collapse probability waves in your favor consistently. Remember, all possibilities exist in superposition until observed with focused attention and emotion. When you maintain that focus consistently with emotional charge, you're essentially biasing probability toward your desired outcomes again and again until they manifest physically. It's like rolling dice where you're increasing the probability of rolling sixes through coherent intention. Eventually, the sixes show up more and more frequently until they dominate your experience. But here's what most people miss about this magnetic pull phase that causes them to sabotage themselves right when things are about to manifest. You have to maintain your frequency even when you start seeing movement and results. The biggest mistake people make is they start seeing small signs of manifestation, they get excited and impatient, and then they slip back into their old frequency of lack and chasing because they're not satisfied with the small signs, they want the full manifestation immediately. And that frequency shift from abundance back to lack disrupts the magnetic pull, scrambles the signal, and delays or stops the manifestation process entirely. It's like you're 9 months pregnant and about to give birth, but you suddenly decide to stop believing you're pregnant because you haven't seen the baby yet. So, your body responds to that belief shift accordingly. The manifestation was coming, was organizing, was about to arrive, but you shifted your frequency at the last moment and pushed it away again without realizing it. So when you start seeing small signs, an unexpected check, a new connection, an intuitive idea, a synchronistic event, don't let your ego interpret that as it's not enough yet or it's taking too long still. Instead, let those signs amplify your gratitude, strengthen your knowing, deepen your certainty that the full manifestation is unfolding perfectly. Those signs are evidence that your frequency is working, that the field is responding, that reality is bending toward you. Honor them, celebrate them, let them fuel your faith instead of triggering your impatience or doubt. This is the test that separates those who manifest occasionally from those who manifest consistently and powerfully. Can you maintain your frequency of having it even when you only see 10% of it showing up? Can you stay in gratitude and certainty when you only see evidence of 30% manifested? Can you trust completely when you see 70% but not the full 100% yet? Those who pass this test accelerate their manifestations dramatically. Those who fail it create a pattern of almost manifesting, getting close, but never quite receiving the full desire because they keep shifting their frequency at the crucial moment. And here's something beautiful. When you do maintain your frequency through the entire manifestation process, from invisible to partial to full, you develop what I call manifestation momentum. Each successful manifestation makes the next one easier and faster because you've built evidence for yourself, you've strengthened your belief, you've proven to your subconscious mind that this process works when you stay aligned. Your manifestations begin to compound and accelerate like a snowball rolling downhill, gathering speed and size naturally. What used to take months starts taking weeks, what used to take weeks starts taking days, what used to take days starts happening almost instantly because you've become a clear channel with no resistance, no doubt, no contradictory frequencies disrupting your signal. You've become what the mystics called a clear vessel and what quantum physicists might call a coherent system, a being whose internal state is so aligned with their desired external reality that the gap between intention and manifestation collapses almost entirely. This is possible for you, not someday in the distant future, but now as you apply these principles consistently with commitment and faith. And when you reach this state, something profound happens in your consciousness that changes how you see everything. You realize you're not a victim of reality, you're the author of it. You're not at the mercy of circumstances, you're the creator of them. You're not hoping for a better future, you're collapsing it into your present moment through your coherent state of being. If this strikes a chord and fills a gap for you, consider staying connected here. Subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it if your brain just went, "Damn, I needed to hear that." This isn't just a channel, it's a frequency. If you felt a nudge or a change while watching, you're already tuned in. We're not just watching content, we're practicing new ways of being together as a unified field. We're not just absorbing information, we're creating possibilities. We're not just learning techniques, we're remembering our true nature as conscious creators. I'm truly glad you're here. Let's keep growing and shifting together. We're approaching the culmination of everything we've explored together, and I want to make sure you understand this clearly. Manifestation is not about acquiring something external to add to yourself to make you complete. Manifestation is about remembering and embodying what's already yours in the quantum field, what already exists in another timeline, and collapsing that timeline into your lived experience through sustained coherence and alignment. The moment you stop seeing your desire as separate from you, as something out there that you need to chase and capture, is the moment it begins moving toward you rapidly with accelerating momentum. This shift in perception, this collapse of separation between desirer and desired, is what Neville Goddard called the end that you live from rather than toward. When you live from the end, you're not journeying toward a destination you hope to reach someday. You're living as if you've already arrived at that destination right now, today. And from that place of already having arrived, reality must reorganize itself to match your inner state, because that's the fundamental law of how consciousness creates reality in the quantum field. Your outer world is always, without exception, a perfect reflection of your inner world given enough time to manifest. There's no other way it can be, because you and your reality are not separate things. You're entangled at the quantum level, connected through invisible threads of consciousness and energy. When you change internally, the external must change to match eventually. The question is never, will it change? The question is always, how quickly will it change based on my consistency and coherence? And that depends entirely on how well you maintain your frequency, how deeply you embody your desired state, how completely you believe in the reality you're collapsing. Let me share a profound truth that ties everything together. The universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. It doesn't respond to your wishes, it responds to your identity. It doesn't respond to your hopes, it responds to your knowing. This is why affirmations alone often fail, because you're saying, I am abundant, while your body, your emotions, your choices, your energy all scream, I am lacking. The words mean nothing without the embodiment, without the vibrational match, without the coherence. But when your words, thoughts, emotions, actions, and identity all align in the same direction, all broadcasting the same frequency, all reflecting the same reality, that's when manifestation becomes inevitable, unstoppable, certain like the sunrise. That's when you're not trying to manifest anymore. You simply are the manifestation embodied. And the physical reality has no choice but to reflect that back to you in form, because that's how this quantum system we exist within operates fundamentally. Now, I want you to pause and really feel into this truth deeply. Everything you desire already exists. The relationship you want, the financial abundance you seek, the health you crave, the purpose you long to live, the impact you dream of making, the freedom you yearn for. It all exists right now in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. You're not trying to create something from nothing. You're selecting something that already exists and collapsing it into your experience through your sustained attention, elevated emotion, and coherent state of being maintained consistently. This should bring you tremendous relief and peace, because it means you don't have to figure out how to make it happen through strategy and force. You don't have to manipulate circumstances or convince people or force doors to open through sheer willpower, exhausting yourself. You simply have to become the frequency of what you desire so completely, so naturally, that the quantum field has no choice but to reflect that frequency back to you as lived experience. You become it, and then you see it. You embody it internally, and then you experience it externally. It's not the other way around ever. And when you truly get this, when this understanding drops from your head into your heart and becomes your lived knowing, everything changes in your life. The struggle ends, the forcing stops, the desperation dissolves, and in its place comes a quiet confidence, a deep peace, a knowing that cannot be shaken by temporary circumstances because you understand how reality truly works beneath the surface. You understand that you're not at the mercy of chance, you're the creator of your experience through your state of being. So, what now? What do you do with all this understanding and knowledge? You live it, you embody it, you practice it daily until it becomes as natural as breathing. Every morning when you wake up, you consciously choose which timeline you're going to live from today. Every moment you notice yourself slipping into old patterns of lack, fear, or doubt, you gently redirect yourself back to your desired frequency with compassion and patience. Every night before sleep, you review your day and celebrate the moments where you maintained your alignment, where you chose your desired state over your conditioned patterns. You make this a lifestyle, a practice, a devotion to yourself and your highest potential. And gradually, day by day, week by week, month by month, you'll notice your external reality shifting to match your internal state more and more accurately. The synchronicities will multiply. The opportunities will appear. The right people will show up. The resources will flow. The doors will open. Not because you forced any of it, but because you became the frequency that attracted all of it naturally, like a magnet pulling iron filings toward itself. This is your birthright as a conscious being. This is your natural state when you're not blocking it with resistance, doubt, and contradictory frequencies. This is who you really are beneath all the conditioning and programming and limiting beliefs you absorbed unknowingly. You are a powerful creator, a conscious manifester, a being of infinite potential living in a field of infinite possibilities. And the moment you remember this fully and live from this truth consistently, your entire reality transforms to reflect your remembering. Send this to that one friend who really needs to hear this. You know the one. Be the friend who shares breakthroughs, not just memes. Share this with someone stuck, because sharing this might just change someone's whole week completely. Real ones share value. Pass this on if you're that kind of human who uplifts others. Your next timeline, the one where everything you desire is your lived reality, is not coming someday in the distant future when conditions are perfect. It's here now, waiting for you to collapse into it through your coherent state of being maintained consistently. It's been waiting patiently for you to remember who you really are, to claim your power, to step into your role as the conscious creator of your experience. And now that you know this, now that you've received this transmission, there's no going back to unconscious living. You can't unknow what you now know. You can only choose whether to apply it or ignore it, whether to embody it or forget it. And I trust that if you've made it this far in this transmission, if you've stayed present through all these words and concepts, you're choosing to embody it fully. You're choosing to remember. You're choosing to become. And that choice, made right now in this present moment, is already beginning to collapse your desired timeline into your experience, whether you can see it yet physically or not. The wheels are in motion, the field is responding, reality is bending, your manifestation is unfolding. Like if you felt it deep in your bones, share it with someone who needs it desperately, and comment, I receive to lock it in energetically right now. Oh, and subscribe, because this is just the beginning of what we're exploring together. If you watch till now, you're not here by accident or random chance. Like to anchor it in your field, comment what clicked for you specifically, share this gift with one person who needs it today, and subscribe, because you're ready for what comes next. And speaking of what comes next, in my next video, I'm going to reveal the one quantum secret that accelerates manifestation by 10x. It's something Neville Goddard whispered about but never fully explained. Something quantum physics is just now beginning to validate with cutting-edge research. This single secret has collapsed timelines for thousands of people who applied it correctly. Click through to watch it now. Because once you add this final piece to everything you've learned here, your manifestations will never be the same again. I'll see you there.